Now let us ask a question. Who is a leader, or how is a person becoming a leader, or what are the qualities he should possess in order to become a leader? So what are the qualities of leadership, or the definition of leadership? So we know there are a lot of leaders. So in an organization there is a need for leader, and if you want to call a person as a leader, he should have some followers. So that is the main quality a person should possess in order to be called as a leader. Now when we look at the definition which is given by Kuhns and O'Donnell, as we say, leadership is generally defined as the process of influencing people. As I told you, we need some followers to become a leader, and the leader should have some followers who try to accept him. So that is his qualities to influence people, so that they will strive willingly towards the achievement of group goals. So to lead is to guide, to conduct, direct and preside. This is the definition which is given by Kuhns and O'Donnell. So when we talk about this definition, it is clear that a leader is a person, one who is able to influence the behavior of the other person. So that is we need somebody to be called as a leader, means he should have some followers and he should maintain some relationship. That relationship can be formal or informal. Mostly when we talk about organization, it is related to work experience or working relationship. Then they all should have some common interest. So that is why they will be called, they will be having some group and one person will be represented as a leader. So they should have some common interest, or there is a community interest, and we should try to accept the other person. And also a leader is a person, one will be able to understand the other, that is the feeling of the other person. So these are the things which is essential to be called as a leader. So a leader should be able to guide. He should have some idea to solve the issues. So he should be a visionary. And as I told you, they have a community interest. So there is a need for teamwork. So where there is a teamwork means somebody has to collaborate and coordinate. And a leader will give us a direction how to move on. Then he will give us a strategy, or he will try to formulate the strategy, and that particular strategy is to be communicated, and that will help you to enrich the goal of the organization or accomplish the goal of the individual. So to be called as a leader, a person should have the skill of guiding others. He should have the ability to solve the problems, and he should be a visionary with a teamwork, who is able to guide and direct by having his own strategy, and that particular goal or whatever it is to be communicated in order to achieve the goals of the individual and to accomplish the goal of the organization. Now let us have a look at the importance of leadership. So when we talk about organization, as I told you, somebody has to be having some skill or traits that we will see in the next slide. So the importance of leadership is we need somebody to have a good relationship. That is, here we refer to the human relationship. Then he should be able to reconcile the goals. Then he should be a motivator who is able to fulfill the social responsibilities, and he should have some balances. That is, he should try to avoid imbalances, and he is necessary in order to utilize the manpower in the organization. So we call it as a better utilization of manpower. A leader is one who is trying to adopt to the environment where we have some economical changes or technological changes or social changes. And as I told you, he should have some strategy to direct the group activity and to bring in the that is a spirit of coordination, and he should understand the structure. So organization structure, we have already referred to it in many of our videos in YouTube. So he should understand the organization structure. Only when you tries to understand organization structure, we can utilize the importance of leadership. So to chart out the qualities a leader should possess, so he should have some priority in attention in order to lower the external internal customers. He should be able to empower his subordinates. Improvement than maintenance. So you always should have to have improvisation than going for maintenance. Then as we know, there is a saying that prevention is better than cure. So before going to anything, he should able to solve the issues, and he should be able to coordinate and try to bring in cooperation between the departments, and he should give the training, guiding, then directing and controlling. So the more essentiality is with respect to training and guidance and directing. So we will see the leadership qualities. So a leader, to be a person to be called as a leader, he should have some personal traits and managerial traits. So as far as the manager traits is concerned, you should have some knowledge about human skill. As we know, we are only, as a leader, he is living and he is with the people, that is human beings. So he should have some knowledge about human skill, how to handle people. So example is trying to influence the other person, and should like to try to make the other people follow his. So he should have some principles in order to have knowledge on human skill. He should have the administrative ability. Then, as we have already seen, we should have some technological knowledge. Even you should have some updated knowledge, or you should have some change attitude in order to know the economical changes or technological changes. Then you should be having ability to deal with people. So this ability to deal is very, very important. As we know, he is dealing with people who are having some that is, he is dealing with people who is more important to the management. So he should be able to deal with their that is goals. He should be able to set their goals and try to make them achieve their goals, and he should be able to judge. That is very important. Judging people is very, very important, because each person has his own perception or attitudes, values. So all these are very important, because in order to bring in coordination, he should be able to judge his people, and he has to be a quick decision maker. That is what we called as decide quickly. Then regarding the personal traits, a person should have some self-confidence. Only when he has a self-confidence, he can build trust over others. Then you should be an initiative, and as I told you, you should bring in some innovative changes. You should be a charismatic leader. Then you should be emotionally matured. A leader cannot be too much sensitive or too much lenient. So you should have some stability. So that is called as emotional maturity. You should be intelligent, and as I told you, you should be a very good decisiveness. So you should be a good decision maker, and he should possess some effective communication skill. As we know, he is dealing with people, he should be able to convey in what he wants to say. So a leader can be a good communicator, and is expected to be a good communicator, so that he passes on the information. So there is he is acting as a linker, so he should be able to communicate. And he should be a dynamic personality who is having some vision and foresight into the development of the individual as well as the organization. And a leader cannot be rigid. So he should be always flexible and always able to accept the responsibility. So these are the personal traits of a... Now we will have a look at the 5 types of leadership. So first one is the transactional, where the work is his reward. In situational type, he will be trying to adapt to the situation. So based on the environment, he will be trying to adapt to the environment. Then we have an autocratic leader who is having some individual control. Then laissez free means he is leaving them, that is hands off. So let them do it on their own. Participative leader is a collaborative leader. So this is the 5 types of leadership which we will see. So this is the, as I told you, the qualities of different types of leaders is authoritative, we know. So he should be able to have a authority over. So he is having some directive behavior, and as we know, authoritative means he decides, he does not focus on others. So he is deciding on his own, but his focus is more on the task to be accomplished. And democratic is an open type of thing, and he gives the opportunity for the others to communicate. Then he is acting as a team leader, and his focus is on people and not on task. Laissez free is permissive, and he always abstains himself from leading, and he gives a power with the staff. Then bureaucratic, there is an insecurity feeling. he knows the rule, but he is always acting impersonal. That is the traits of the leader. So let us have a look at each leadership style. So first one is autocratic leader. As I told you, these autocratic leaders are always decision making pass or always with the centralized leader, and they are also acting as a dictator leader. So they are also acting as a dictative leader. Dictator in the sense that is they are much strict autocrats, and they also act as a benevolent autocrat. That is, they try to think, that is, he possesses some authority and power, and he also tries to influence the action of his subordinates by trying to encourage him, by inspiring him, and also guiding him. But the thing is, they do not entertain any suggestions or initiative from subordinates. That is the main thing, because they always focus on the, as I told you, task. So they are also acting as a strong motivator in the to the manager, and they are permitting to have quick decision making, because as we know, in autocratic, they themselves decide, they don't have collaborative with the subordinates. So his decisions are much more faster when compared to the other styles of leadership, and whatever he designs, he tries to communicate to the people who are with him, that is the rest of the group. Then he is having high degree of dependence on the leader, and sometimes, as we know, his decisions are always quickly, and they are also decisively. And when we talk about the advantages, as I told you, the first advantages we can discuss is they are much faster in decision making. They are suitable for any type of organization, and they are more strong motivator to the leader. But as we know, the disadvantages, they don't allow the people to participate in the decision making, and there is no development of leadership skill, and in most of the cases they treat their human, that is the subordinates, in a slavery attitude. So that is the disadvantage of leadership. And regarding the laissez-faire or free rein, we call them as these leaders, they don't lead actually. They lead the group. Means a laissez-free rein means itself, their meaning is they are giving complete authority, or they give devolution of entire authority to their subordinates. So in this case, what happens is manager, he determines the goals, policies and procedures, but it is in the form of decentralization. So you can talk about the result. So the result is much not in his capability, it is decided by the subordinates. This is the cases, the manager, what he does is he posts with the progress of action done in, and here we call this as also free rein style or laissez-free. Also sometimes we call them as a permissive style of leadership, and this is much suitable only when the subordinates, they are intellectual and having some high knowledge, they are qualified, or they are more skilled people, and they have some competency, or they have their mental maturity. Only then this type of leadership is suitable and possible. So as we know, they are giving free hand to these subordinates to decide about the policies and methods, and this can be highly motivational, and he has control over their work life, and also makes coordination, decision making time consuming. As I told you, as is letting loose the subordinates, so there are as far as the decision making is concerned, it can be more time consuming, but he always relies on the good teamwork needs. Then regarding the bureaucratic leadership, this bureaucratic style, what happens is he is a leader can work by the book, so they follow the rules. They are always they have their own policies, methods and rules and regulations, and they never skip out, or they don't even go out of their rules and regulations. So they always follow the procedures precisely. So if you take the procedure is concerned, they try to look into the procedure, what is to be followed. So we can see how they follow. So they are also called as the followers. So that is how we look into the picture. You can see the picture. They always, they don't go out. We call themselves red tapeism also. They always follow. They are much seriously involved in, like we see when we talk about this type of leaders, they morely related to toxic because they're much they take much risk with respect to safety aspect. So and also in case of large sum of money, and this leadership is much useful in organization where people are going into routine activity like manufacturing activity. And the downsides of this leadership style, that is it is ineffective in terms that is more reliable on flexibility, creativity and innovation, because here there is no scope for innovation or creativity because they follow the rules blindly. They follow the rules. That is why we call say they always by the book, by laws. And in case of this bureaucratic leaders, they achieve their position because they are able to uphold rules, and not because of their qualification expertise. And this also can cause reinstatement where team members do not value their expertise or advice. So this is a drawback of this leadership. The next one is the transformation leadership. That is transformation in the sense we have a person, that is example have taken Gandhiji, because we know Gandhiji is a person who was given as the rule of ahimsa. He has transferred the people's mindset. So people are who are ready to take a change. So this change can happen inside individual or others or groups, even organization. So we call it them as a charismatic leader also. So they are able having the quality of a special leadership, which is more associated in order to transform, so they can make the people change for a good behavior. So this is more powerful, and they are also able to teach. So we have most of the philosophers as a transformation leader. Then the paternalistic leader. Here what happens is this is something like how parents they treat. So the leader is like a parent of the subordinates, and it is like a family membership they have. And the role played by the leader is more like a commonly like a father who always looks into the welfare of his children. Like the leader will be thinking about the subordinates work environment. He always guides him, he motivates him, always looks into his benefit, like you can call them as a welfare benefits. So this is like a, they create a bond. So there is a bond which is being created with the leader, that is the superior and the subordinate. So here managers giving more attention, as I told you, to the social needs. That is what we all talk about, the welfare needs. So managers, as they are much interested to know about the happiness. So we can talk about the happiness, how my workers feel, that is more important. So as I told you, they are having the role of a father, like they are giving a father role. And what they do is they try to consult their employees if there is any issue. Then they will ask them what is the issue is all about. They will be listening, they will be getting the feedback, or even they get the opinion. So what will be happening is the managers, as I told you, there is a bond is being created. So there is a relationship which is created. So the relationship is like with a relationship which is created in a family. A father and a son role, a father and a daughter role. Same way, here also the paternalistic leader is like a father who is trying to preserve, look into welfare, the environment, all these are things. So they always try to give some directions. And this slide, sorry, this is link style is much linked to the Mayo's human relation view of motivation and the social needs of Maslow, that is Maslow's need hierarchy. Now we have 5 different leadership types, and I have not concentrated on our own styles. This is not with respect to our own styles, and this is with respect to the example of Harina Afkin. We know this is an example for transformation leader. Then ex President of USA, Donald Trump, we know he is the example for democratic, and this is a charismatic with respect to Richard Branson. And we know about Bill Gates, autocratic leader, and this is Warren Buffett, a very good investor. And we know about he's like a lazy free leader. So these are the examples for 5 different types of leaders. Now we will look at the theories of leadership. As we know, the trait, behavior theory, situational theory, and transformation leadership. So already we have seen this. Now we will see the contributories of these various theories with respect to the characteristics of the individual. So we have the University of Iowa, where we have styles that is autocratic, democratic and laissez-free. In case of continuum of leaders behavior, we have University of Michigan's employee-centered leader, or with respect to job-centered. Then the studies which has been done by the Ohio State University, that is initiating concentration of structural model. Then we have the leadership grid, or we call this as a manager grid. In case of transformational or transactional leaders, we have the contingency model or normative leader model, situation leadership theory, and the path goal theory. So which we will be studying in the next. So we will talk about the overview of all these theories. Why do we have these various theories? As we know, these theories are first is called as a great man theory, and this great man theory is also called as the charismatic leader theory. And in great man theory, we always talk about evolution, that is the evolution of leadership. So how these leaders were having these qualities, whether it was inborn qualities, and as we know, some qualities we cannot impart even during by training. So some qualities, so these qualities of a person which is inborn makes him called as a charismatic leader. So this is like we call them as gifted, because that's why we call them as great man theory. Great man means somebody who has got some skills which is by birth is having and not an acquired skill. Then we have the trait theory. In trait theory, we even call it as a trait approach. What happens is this is a continuation like great man theory, but the theory is that we have some assumptions that great qualities can be acquired by individual by training also. But in great man, it is inborn. In traits theory, some qualities can be acquired even by training. That is like based on his experience he has, or based on his educational qualities he has. So what happens is this particular thing has been given. So what says is there are some 10 qualities like good personality, imagination, initiative, or EQ, we call it as emotional intelligence or emotional stability, like is persuasion. All these are the qualities of a successful leader. So what happens is we have to look into that based on his educational qualities or experience or his family background. They have made a study, and based on that they have seen this. So based on this, they even developed a trait theory, says that some qualities like creative thinking, reliability, this can be even experimental learning can be learned based on the training given to the thing. The next one is behavior theories, where we have the Michigan studies and the Ohio studies. In Ohio studies, what happens is that I think I have the slides. This is with respect to behavior theories. So as we know, leaders can be made rather than are born. So successful leaders is based on indefinable learnable behavior. So according to this theory, what they say is as I told you, people can learn based on their observation training. People can learn how to become a leader. So this is like a floodgates of leadership development, which is opposed to simple psychometric assessments. That is where leadership potential will be never changed. So that is not the thing. Based on the training, even the behavior can be changed. So this is how what has been given in the Ohio study and the Michigan studies. So if you look at the Michigan study, what has been said is they have identified two types of leader. So one is a people-centered leader and another one is a production-centered leader. So the people-centered leader is, as I told you, is giving much importance to his followers in order to handle the problems, and he is also giving some adequate support in order to solve this problem. But in case of production-centered leader, the more focus is on how to achieve the goals, that is accomplishing the objectives rather than the employees. So here what happens is they are not looking into the employees welfare, but the more focus is on the objective accomplishment. So this is how they have concluded the study, and they have heightened the, that is how the production and task has been based on this they have found out the study that is been done. So next one is Michigan Ohio State study. So this is how, based on the personality traits, as I told you, the abilities in trait theory, we look into the abilities like supervising ability, intelligence, initiative. But in personal traits, we talk about the self-assurance, decisiveness, femininity, maturity, working class, affinity towards this working class. Then they are acting as a motivator in order to achieve the occupational achievement. As I told you, example of Maslow's theory, where we have self-actualization and job security, high financial rewards. So this is with respect to Fiedler's contingency model. So this Fiedler's contingency model, what happens is here based on the least preferred co-worker, LPC, that is the person a leader has least preferred to work with over his or career has been taken. Then we have TS, that is task structure. So in task structure we decide about the clarity, that is a degree of clarity or ambiguity, what is the activity, group's activity. Then PP with respect to position power. So authority is associated with the leader's formal position. So based on the structure we decide the formal position, and based on that he knows his power, that is power, leader's power. Then the relationship with leader-member relations. So this is with respect to interpersonal relations which is existing between the leader and his group. So as we know, this is how what is called as Fiedler's LPC model. So he has devised or created a questionnaire that is called as LPC, that is least preferred co-worker. So this is an example where we take the instrument which tells us whether a person is task oriented or leadership oriented. So if you talk about LPC, then the person is relationship oriented. But if LP is less, then the person is task oriented. So based on that we can decide whether the person is relationship oriented. And this is the model of contingency theory with variables. So the variables are followers, leader, situation. So we have taken an attempt, we have made an attempt in order to say whether the leadership quality is based on the leader, his followers, or situational. As we know, contingency is more related to situation. So we have some 3 variables. So followers means we talk about their capability and motivation. Then regarding the leader, we have to talk about his traits, that is personal trait, his experience and his behavior. Situation is based on his structure, environment, and so situational leadership. Here we define situational leadership, that is a leader's success always relies on his ability or the style, whether he is able to adopt or suit their followers' level of maturity. So it is an implication that even no single optimum leadership can be there in a present person. So based on the situation, so this is his follower's level of maturity. So how do we determine is by his willingness or and the ability to do the job. So the situational leadership model, what it tells us, it is like telling us, selling us, participating and delegating based on the styles. And this is the maturity level. So we have M1, that is low competency and low commitment. This is with respect to M1. And regarding M2, we have low competence and high commitment. In M3, the competence is high, but the commitment is slow. But in M4, a maturity level, both competence and the commitment. So this is what is called a situational leadership, as from the example we can take. So that this theory has been made in order to find out the relationship that is based on who is going to lead them. So this is like when the leader or manager of organization, he should, as I told you, should adjust to the style to fit to the development in order to make his followers. So he should be able to influence his followers. So this is like he wants to make some change in the style so that the followers will try to not adopt his thing. So he should be able to change. So as based on the situational need, the particular leader should be able to adopt, and he should be able to change continually in order to meet the needs of others based on. So this is with respect to behavioral theory, and as I told you, behavior theory, we had that Michigan study and Ohio study, which we'll see in the next slides. So this theory is trying to advocate that leadership is done by the acts rather than by the traits, and it is an effect of the, that is a result of an effective role behavior. And this theorists, what they do is they are concentrating on the behavior, that is unique behavior aspects which are more found in leaders, so that these leaders are more effective, so they are able to have attain their effective leadership. So these leadership behavior is more based on the belief that, as I told you, great leaders are made and not born. That is a thing which is a opposition of the great man theory. So what this theory is more specific about is, as we told, people can learn. So through his observation, as I told you, his judgmental skill, his initiative, then his experience and education, a person can learn. That is called as behavior. And this is with respect to the Ohio State studies. And this particular study is concentrating on leadership behavior. That is how the initiative. So initiation is low and structure high. This is how they are going to decide. And based on the concentration structure, that is structure, whether this high it is or structure concentration is low, they have two factor and they have taken that. And based on this, they have taken two types of leadership behavior. So one is, as I told you, concentration, and the second one is initiative structure. So concentration is nothing but the trust. That is what they talk about. And that is trust with respect to friendship and the warmth between the leader and his staff. And in initiative structure, we are talking about the extent to which the activities of the subordinates are being defined and how the work procedure is being established. So we have based on the questionnaire and the perception of the leadership, this particular model has been developed based on the questionnaire, and based on this they have plotted two separate axes, and we have that high, low and high, low, and based on this we have 4 quadrants. So first one is low concern for production, but he has high concern for people. And the next one is low concern for production and low concern for people. This is low, both the things are low, that is consideration and initiative structure, both are low. And in the second case, if you take for example low concern for production and high concern for people, in in case of the fourth quadrant, that is high concern for production and high concern for people, both we have high structure, that is high concentration, and high initiative structure. Then this is the 4 I's of transformation leadership. So first one is we should have an idealized influence, then he should be inspirational motivator, he should be individualized consideration, and he should have some intellectual stimulation. So a leader try to serve as an ideal role model so that his followers are being admired. Then regarding the inspirational motivation, as we know, transformation leaders, they are able to inspire and motivate his followers. Then individualized consideration is their transformation leaders, what they do is they try to demonstrate genuine concern for the needs and feelings of followers. So this is trying to bring the best efforts from each individual who are there. So this is bringing in teamwork. Then intellectual stimulation, as we know, these transformation leaders, they try to challenges their followers in order to be innovative and creative. Now we have the last slide with respect to transactional and transformation leader, the differences. As we know, the transaction leader are more responsive, and they always look into the basic orientation, that is they want to solve or deal with the present issues. But in case of transformation leadership, they are more proactive and they are trying to form new expectation within their followers. And in transactional leadership, the work is within the organization culture, but in transformation leader there is a work changes which is being brought inside the organization culture by implementing new ideas.